Hello and welcome back to the last promise 0% growths. This is chapter 2, which is a difficult one to work out. It took me a bit to work this out, which is why the upload took a while. To start us off, we get a new healer, Tamiko. She's not very helpful in this chapter, all she does is visit a village to get us a javelin. On turn 1, Sean and Corben work together to chip this enemy brigand down, and Siegfried goes and chips a brigand down to low enough HP so that Sean would be able to finish him off next turn. Up in the top, we have an NPC named Kellic. He is one of the main characters of the game, and he is infamous for being incredibly edgy. He has both an iron sword and a steel sword, and he will help kill some enemies up there to distract them from Siegfried and Sean's assaults on the boss. As far as I know, this is the last time for a while Sean will be performing a boss kill due to the fact that his stats are very noticeably lacking at this point. He takes 16 damage from the boss if he has a sword equipped, and gets one shot if he has a lance equipped. Keep in mind that isn't very far off a growth run. Siegfried gets his first level up, which isn't going to matter much, and Kellic kills an archer. This next turn was a bit difficult for me to plan out, because Siegfried needs to be at a specific spot in order to work, so for my strat to work. So Tamiko visits a village and gets a javelin. Corben finishes off this brigand, which does nothing except setting up an RN seed, so that Sean can do this. He uses the 13 crit from the piercing sword to crit a mercenary. Alternatively, he could use the piercing sword after Corben hit him with a javelin, but that just makes the rest of the chapter more difficult, and that just lined up. Siegfried doesn't equip anything, he just keeps using an iron sword and waits to distract those brigands. Normally in a growths run, he should be able to one-round more enemies than he does now, and he'd be able to help out more with a javelin. However, because his bases aren't very good, aside from his 10 speed that'll keep him doubling for a couple more chapters, he's not going to be doing that much. Kellic once again faces the enemies up there. Sean and Corben have a somewhat dangerous enemy phase, because if Sean gets hit by every attack, he will die. However, it's incredibly unlikely. The archer is the only enemy that actually poses a threat. Kellic one-rounds an archer with I think he swapped to the iron sword for that. Anyway, Corben goes down to the house and completes part 1 of the Emblem Weapon side quest by getting the Emblem Lance. It is a 4-might weapon that is actually 8-might because it is effective against all unit types. Sean equips the piercing sword, even though we could have used the iron sword there just to set up for the enemy phase, and Siegfried weakens a bandit so that Corben can get some extra sword experience later. Tamiko does not move after getting the village at all in this chapter. This enemy phase, Sean finishes off that brigand, which he needs the piercing sword for the extra point of might. Damages these other brigands. Sean's level ups don't really matter, it's just that the piercing sword gives him more weapon experience, which is going to be helpful at some point, because he does need access to Lance Reapers by a specific chapter, which, yes, he already has. If he gets a higher sword rank, the higher sword rank weapons, like the Brave Sword, might come in handy later on. There's no reason not to get him extra weapon experience, especially since you won't be doing a lot of combat once the piercing sword breaks anyway. Kellic finishes this bandit, which makes it a lot easier for Sean Siegfried to do this. They ready themselves for the boss kill. Normally, I would have used a Vulnerary on Sean, but the enemies have such low hit on him that it doesn't really matter. Corben gets a little bit of extra sword experience, not like it matters much, it just might help at some point to get him to steel swords. Even though he's not going to be seeing a lot of combat soon, because we're getting a new unit next chapter who, yes, has less movement and doesn't have access to 1-2 range, just as better combat stats, and a higher sword rank. Sean gets his 5th level up, this enemy phase. Siegfried needs to weaken this boss, because otherwise Sean would be 2 damage short. He could attack on player phase or enemy phase. I decided to do both, just because of the extra security it provides. Alternatively, Sean could one-shot the boss with a critical hit due to the piercing sword allowing him to deal 10 damage twice at base, and he has, I think, roughly a 12% crit chance, which isn't a lot, but it's feasible. 8% crit chance, so yeah, I wasn't gonna try to set that up, because I tried to limit the RNG burning. the boss drops an elixir, and here you can see I was indecisive on whether or not I wanted lance experience or sword experience. I decide on using a sword, and then Siegfried seizes the throne. He obtains his personal weapon, the New Thong, which is a sword effective against magic unit, against mages, monks, troubadours, shamans, and their promoted forms. It's going to be very helpful in Siegfried mode, because it's also just a strong sword. It is stronger than, I think it is a 9 might, so it's 18 might against those enemies, so it's going to be very strong, and he'll be able to one-shot mages for a couple chapters moving forward. That's all for today, so thank you for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and next time we'll be tackling a chapter that is very irritating. However, it is the first time Sean does not kill a boss, so if you're looking forward to that, that's cool. Also in the next chapter, we get our best combat unit for the majority of Siegfried mode. Just letting you know. See you guys then.